Hey guys, welcome back. We are still in Upper Cathedral Ward. Why is that, you're wondering? Well, obviously we still got to fight one more boss here. I didn't forget about her. It's Ebrietas, the daughter of the cosmos. One of my favourite bosses, but definitely one of the toughest ones as well. So she definitely deserves her own video, as it were. So before I actually take her on, just one thing I want to mention. That's when you actually first go into her domain, which is the Altar of Despair. You'll notice that she's prostrated in front of what looks like either the statue or the dead body of a creature that looks like Rom. Now, whether or not that actually is Rom and Rom is dead, I don't know. Or whether that's another creature that happens to look like Rom, again, I don't know. But what I would say is that for me, that point is irrelevant. What I take away from this is basically her feelings, her emotions. She is literally begging someone to come save her. Whether she's, worshipping that dead body or that statue or whatever it is, I don't know. But it's interesting for me that the Altar of Despair is the only place in the game where you can bring other creatures back to life. And I think that's very, very important. I think that she's here at this point just because she's hoping to bring something back to life. And I think that is probably the dead body of a sibling or someone else. I'm not sure who it is, but I think she's basically there just because she is hoping to be saved, basically from the situation she is in. So I'm going to talk a lot more about her, but before I do, I just want to actually go through the boss fight itself. So first of all, you want to go back and equip the sword cleaver. The hunter axe that we've used up until now just doesn't cut it, it's too slow. Get the sword cleaver and upgrade it to +9. Also, now that you've got the Cosmic Eye Watcher badge, buy some beast blood pellets. They're going to be really useful for this fight. And some bolt paper as well, that's really good against her. So generally the strategy you want to use... Oh sorry, I forgot to mention, also get Jura's outfit. So you're going to have to go back to old Yharnam, kill him and get his outfit, because that accentuates the beast effects and it's going to be really important in this fight. She is a very, very tough enemy and definitely the toughest boss in the game so far. The only person I think in the main game who I'd rate as tougher is probably German. So that shows you how hard this fight is. It took me a hell of a lot of tries. So first of all, don't lock onto her. I lock onto most enemies and bosses, but in this case don't do it. And what you want to do is keep to one of her sides. I prefer our right side or her left side and stay in the area between her tentacles and her body, and as she swings the tentacles you should be able to get away with avoiding most of them as you go along and keep there, which means that basically you're going to have to keep rotating around and moving around as she moves around to try and hit you. So she's going to constantly try to readjust to hit you and you need to move to avoid her obviously, but don't roll or run, just keep walking around, because if you roll or run you'll move too fast and you'll get out of position, and just keep wailing on as you go along. Alright, now that she's dead, let's talk a bit about Ebrietas herself. First of all, as far as the choir and the healing church is concerned, the old blood that they use is definitely her blood. And the reason I say that is basically, if you look at the statue within the Grand Cathedral, at the very top there's a image of a woman pouring a liquid out of a vase. That to me is almost certainly a depiction of Ebrietas herself. There's very little doubt in my mind that's an image that's supposed to represent her. Now of course they're not going to put a statue of Ebrietas herself, what she actually looks like, up there, because people get freaked out because there'll be a giant alien on top of the religious iconography of the church, and obviously the church wants to keep people dumb and vested in this idea that it's a bunch of gods that provide the church with this holy blood. It's belief in their religion. I mean, if people find out that their god is actually an alien, I don't think they'll have the same kind of reaction to it, or be willing to actually take the old blood. So if we read the description of the Great East Chalice, it states that it was also the first great chalice brought back to the surface since the time of Bergenworth, and allowed the choir to have audience with Ebrietas. This is obviously extremely important. Just as Mensis had an audience with Murgo eventually, the Healing Church's choir were able to have an audience with Ebrietas. She was their success. And of course we know from the description of the East Chalice that they actually went down into the old labyrinth, found the chalice, and somehow were able to use it to get into the Land of Ease, which is a very strange place because it apparently exists in the border between the Nightmare of the Great Ones and our world. And finally, what are all these statues in the Altar of Despair? Well, a lot of people have already covered this. This is basically Ebrietas' artwork, as near as anyone can figure out. Basically, that's her interpretation of the artwork of the Pthumerians. Obviously, she used to be a Pthumerian herself and ascended into godhood, as it were. And obviously, when the civilization collapsed and the Great Ones left, she was left behind. And if you look at the statues, you'll notice that they're mostly depictions of people raising their hands to the sky and asking for something. And obviously, I think this is an allusion to the fact that she wants to join the other Great Ones in whatever realm they inhabit. Okay guys, that's pretty much it for today. Thanks a lot. It was a quick episode, but it was definitely worth giving her own thing. She is quite important to the story. As usual, if you enjoyed the video, like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Cheers, bye.